Yes, the style in which this video is shot is an homage to the late Paul Harrell, who was just a few years my junior. Gone too soon. He always shot videos outside, near trees, wearing a jacket kind of like this one, and always had one of these in his pocket, sometimes a few. Anyway, let's start with a few assumptions. So we've agreed to be generally compassionate and sane. 1. If a child is poor and hungry, it's not the child's fault. It's never the child's fault. And 2, if you think a poor and hungry child should die quickly and reduce the surplus population, you're a literal Ebenezer Scrooge, and you can fuck right off now. No, seriously. Fuck off right now. You're not part of this sane conversation. Stop watching this. Go watch something else. Okay. 3. When we as a society agree there must be a social safety net to address the problems of poor and hungry children, it is only logical to strive to do the most good at the lowest cost. And to that end, let me explain why the ideal amount of fraud is not zero. Even if it were possible to have a system that achieves zero fraud, and it probably isn't possible, that's not ideal. Just for round numbers' sake, let's say you're managing a program that spends $10 million per year to help 10,000 kids avoid starvation. Does that sound like a lot of money? It's not. It's a hair under $275 per child per day. But with efficiencies of scale, you can pull this off. However, running this is not free. You can't just take a pool of money and magically turn it into 10,000 meals every day. There's paperwork and administration and accounting and whatnot. None of that shit is free. But you figure out how to get all that shit done with a mere 10 people, 9 people plus yourself. And the health insurance costs and social security taxes and workman's comp and all that other shit you gotta pay costs your program $100,000 a head per year. So that's $1 million off the top. Now you're trying to subsidize 10,000 kids' nutritional needs with $9 million. Now you're down to $247 per kid per day. But you managed to do it. Barely. You're at the bare minimum to pull that off. Then some red-hatted Karens get undies in the twist because a couple dozen kids get free lunches at school when their parents really could afford to pay for their kids' lunch. They're all up in arms about it. It's fraud, they whine. The system is riddled with fraud. So now you have to scrutinize the applicants more closely. It's more paperwork, more often. And the arbitrary threshold that was set up to qualify for aid has been moved, so the kids have to each be more poor to get assistance. And all this requires hiring 5 more people to investigate and verify some family's household income isn't above the arbitrary threshold. That's another $500,000 a year. This means that less money overall available to the actual acquisition and distribution of aid. Now you can only help 9,428 kids, and 572 kids instead go hungry. Now you tell me what's better, inadvertently feeding a couple dozen kids too many, or making 572 deserving kids go hungry. Remember, the main goal is to do as much good as you can with limited resources. And yeah, fraud is a concern. But for a social safety net system, the ideal amount of fraud is not zero. You have to seek a balance between the cost of your anti-fraud efforts and the cost of some people getting more help than they need. When you help the most people at the lowest cost, you've found the right balance. Now, we've been talking about free lunches for kids just because that's a simple enough thing for even the dumbest voters to get their thick heads around. But the same concepts and complications apply to any social good program at any governmental level. Rental assistance, childcare assistance, immigration. Oh yeah, I'm talking about minimally qualified, poorly trained ICE shitheads coming into Minnesota on the pretext that there's welfare fraud in the Somali immigrant community, and that somehow we'll be safer if 2,000 federal thugs pour into our state to do immigration raids. How much does that cost? Then one idiot decides it's better to open fire instead of taking half a step to the right. Fucking insane. If you're really worried about people getting stuff they don't deserve, start looking at billionaires. Look at the billionaire business owners who commit wage theft, a problem that's estimated to cost U.S. workers over $50 billion a year. Look at billionaire business owners whose lowest paid full-time workers earn so little they still qualify for welfare, yet their corporations still get millions in tax breaks or federal contracts. Fuck off, ice goons. Get a real job and do something productive for a change.